Namaste, Jai Bharat. Vladimir Putin, the Russian premier, knows very well what is secret service. When he speaks something of such nature, take it seriously. He had warned that there will be attempts on the life of the to-be president, Donald Trump. Should be careful. That's what he said. Of course, the Americans know how to be careful. Of course, I am no advisor to them. But then there were two attempts earlier during his election campaign. Now, who was doing these things? Who would do all these things? It's the politicians, likelihood I'm speaking of. I'm only speculating and making conjectures. The politicians there who don't want him to come into power are behind it. There are people with deep interests and deep-stated interests of deep state who try to play havoc for their own benefits, not just political power, benefits of their other kinds of authority, maybe of the empire of industry, maybe of their business, and maybe their corporate interest. Then these interests far much more than the interest of governance in nation. That used to be in the past, when conquerors are interested in ruling. Here they are ruling, but in a different manner. They would like to rule the market. They want the market with their own. They are not that interested in political authority, political power, because there you have to work. You spend time for nothing in most of the political cases. So there are such agencies operating, and they are not just against people like Trump, they are against a nation like Bharat. If my nation, Bharat, is not assuming authority and power in industrial world, in corporate sector, in our defense forces strengthening, then no one will bother, all will be our friends. Even now, all are our friends. Even though they're all friends, they wouldn't want you to be powerful. They wouldn't want you to sit next to them, because they wouldn't want to ask you for anything. They would like to take things from you with a smile, very polished atrocities. That's what they're doing. They tried their best to destroy, devastate our elections to the extent that Modiji should not come to power again. BJP should not come to power again. And there are such shameless instruments in their hands. Our people, our nation people, our politicians, utterly shameless people who just want to grab power. That's it. Their only objective is to obtain power. Their only objective is to come in power. And for that they will do anything, and they don't care what happens to the society, and they don't care what happens to the nation. And most of them have absolutely no idea of the history of Bharat, the culture of Bharat, and the rich knowledge tradition of Bharat. Where do they know? They are such illiterate fools pretending to be knowledgeable and speaking mostly nonsense. But they just want to become something. They just want to get into authority. They just want power. And for that they will do anything. Therefore, they become instruments, shamelessly instruments in the hands of the agencies operating outside, the so-called deep state or whatever agency. They become simply instruments in the hands of others and play to their tunes, not realizing that they are selling their own mothers, not really realizing that they are selling their own mothers, but they just want 2 days of power. Here, with all kinds of power, will it prolong? We just want to live a few days. After a few days, you will want it more. What will happen to you after some time? All those thoughts are never entertained by them, because they need a little bit of philosophy to reflect upon these kinds of things. The classical example of Lenin and Stalin is in front of you. Their end. I need not to say, find out for yourself, at least do some reading. Simply not carrying books won't do to show others that this is something. So these people are into. Now look at what they have done to Bangladesh. They destroyed a society which were going ahead. They were growing economically. They were becoming self-sufficient economically, gradually, slowly. They were becoming something of a peaceful place where people had things. There were law and order in that nation. People had food to eat. They're living in comfortable. No, the whole thing is destroyed at the whims and fancies of some people who has their own very personal needs, and you will suffer, I'll tell you, for the tears and hunger of these innocent people. And they have puppets, instrumental, shameless puppets, who will do anything because he gets something, he does something back. People should learn how to say no to such kind of things. People, at least have lettered, should learn to say no to this. I don't want anything which it doesn't legitimately belong to me. Can't people say this? It's a simple thing. Sacrifice should be the basis of your existence. The Upanishads teaches us Tyakte na bhunjita. But the Upanishad doesn't teach rest of the world. Tyakte na bhunjita. Learn to sacrifice. And when you're involved, involvement should be through the principle of sacrifice, little wider and little deeper and little complicated for common sense perception. So this Bangladesh. Sri Lanka was this for some time. Afghanistan is that precisely. And Pakistan is no different. Maldives, they have taken for a ride. And all this, and you look at all over the world, these kinds of things are all happening. Everyone is subject to this, and no one can escape. They themselves can't escape, so how can others escape? What kind of a world are we living in? Difficult to understand. It's difficult to understand how people behave. People behave as though there's a concept in Sanskrit, Bharati Sanskriti as well. Chiranjeevi. Chiranjeevi means those who live forever. Okay, if I let you live forever, there's no guarantee that you won't be aging. This is an interesting story. It's an interesting story from the local Bharatiya parables. The king came to know that there is a sannyasi in the forest who had invented a medicine which, if you take that, you will continue living forever. And he sends his son, the prince, to the forest to get that medicine for him. His son goes and comes empty handed. He didn't take that medicine. He didn't bring the medicine. Then the father asked, why? I met the sannyasi, but I did not take the medicine because this medicine will make you live forever. But that medicine doesn't stop aging. Just imagine that. You will live forever, but you will continue aging. Just imagine that situation. And people should not think, even if you get that medicine, you will continue aging. And that medicine is not yet invented. Therefore, live meaningfully, live as human beings. Till we meet again, Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Ram.